Hi, I'm David O'Connell, Chair of the BCS Board of Directors. Welcome to our 2020 Virtual Human Spirit Awards. BCS does some amazing work in the community, and even in incredibly difficult times, the staff at BCS are unwavering in their commitment. I am so proud to be here tonight to salute some of the frontline essential staff of the response to COVID-19. I also want to let you know that following our program, we will invite you to join us for 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence and reflection in memory of George Floyd and the many other members of the Black community we have lost to police violence. Because we're not meeting in person tonight, we're going to have to work a little bit harder to create community virtually, but I know we can do it. So I hope you'll feel free to comment and say hello to your fellow guests using the chat function. I'll join you there in a minute. Before I jump into some logistics for the evening, I first want to share how thrilled I am to report that our board's Nominating and Governance Committee has nominated Sean Austin, our current vice chair, to serve as our next board chair, and we expect that he'll be taking the helm next week. I feel so fortunate to have served as board chair of BCS for almost 4 years, and it has been a true privilege to work with such an incredible team of board members, leadership, staff, and clients. I'm looking forward to continuing to serve on the board under Sean's leadership and know that he will continue to lead the organization to do great things for Brooklyn. Okay, let's tackle some logistics. If you're not doing so already, we ask that you view this webcast on your computer or on a laptop and use your phone for any bidding and pledging. Really, grab your phone, hold it up. Okay, now we're ready. To participate in the live pledge portion, simply text Brooklyn to 41444. That's 41444 from your phone. Be competitive, be generous for Brooklyn. You know it's all for a wonderful cause. Please also feel free to share your experiences tonight by posting selfies to your social media accounts and tag us at We Are BCS. Now it's my honor to introduce BCS President and Executive Director, Janelle Ferris. Please join me in welcoming Janelle.
So happy that you're here to join us today. You know, we planned a celebration of the human spirit, including cocktails and laughter with you. But the recent uprising of Americans, supported by people from around the world, shoulder to shoulder, crying out against racism and white supremacy, has led us to a much more somber tone. BCS was founded at the end of the Civil War, but the Civil War did not end racism. Today, human service organizations are at the front line fighting against inequity every day through programs that support people from underserved communities, people who suffer greatly by the system that continues to oppress them. We need meaningful investment more than ever. The city's youth, homeless, families, children, all of those striving to make a positive difference in their lives, to earn a living wage, to get an education. They have all waited long enough. But it's not just the city's responsibility. We must all stand with our neighbors who are vulnerable and have suffered from systematic oppression and white supremacy. I know that if you're watching tonight, you care, and I thank you. I know that the only way to survive and rebuild is for all of us to work together. Indeed, for me, the moments when we have come together and sacrificed for one another have been the bright spots in this dire time. We must not let those moments become simply memories. I promise that as the leader of BCS, I will continue to embrace the social justice mission and expose inequity and champion the communities that we serve. And I will do so alongside some real heroes, the staff and board of BCS. COVID has lifted the veil to the problems that inequity breeds. You know, the communities that BCS serves are some of the hardest hit in this pandemic. Stick around and you'll hear stories from the front lines, my staff and the work that they do in response to this crisis.
Good evening, everyone. My name is CK Sweat. I'm a host and auctioneer who has called Brooklyn home for the last 15 years. Just before we hear from the BCS frontline staff, I'd like to thank Janelle and the BCS Board of Directors for their strong leadership throughout this difficult time. The original plan, building off the success of last year's gala, was for me to be back on stage at the One Hotel, wearing my Brooklyn's finest, leading these fundraising efforts. Best laid plans, right? Instead, I'm actually reporting live from 151 Lawrence Street in a well-lit corner of Janelle's office. I'm going to do everything in my power to inspire all of you tuning in right now to dig deep and help Brooklyn Community Services to continue to do just that, serve our community. David led you through the donation process earlier, and you know what? I'm going to make a $100 donation myself right now just to show you how easy it is. You have your phone, you text 41444, Brooklyn in the subject line, push send, and in a second, there it is. You get a response. Click on that link. Got some slow Wi-Fi here. All that, fill it out. I'm going to do it right now. And while I'm doing that, we have a beautiful video updating you on the essential work of BCS over the last 3 months.
The pandemic, I think, has probably hit our communities the hardest.
COVID has run like a hurricane through our Black and Brown communities, and those are the people that we serve. About half of our participants are 55 and older.
People who are really, really poor, really living on the edges. They have less access to quality healthcare that would address sort of the chronic issues that we found out makes you really susceptible to the COVID virus. We're a 150-year-old organization. We're 500 employees at least. To turn an operation like that around in a week, to working remotely, working from home, reaching out, using technology in every way we can, we've created community even from a remote situation to engage people and create connections with people to help them survive.
We provide youth development and tutoring, homework help, mentorship. We are virtually connecting with families and community members and participants. We try to come up with fun, engaging ways to keep their spirits positive. We post fun YouTube activities. We post TikTok videos. We host graduation parties for a lot of the participants.
PRO stands for Personalized Recovery Oriented Services, and we provide psychiatric rehabilitation services to adults living with severe mental illness and co-occurring disorders. Prior to COVID, everything was on site. We work with a lot of vulnerable people who not only have behavioral health issues, but also pre-existing health conditions. During the COVID crisis, we really had to strategize to ensure that we were providing medication management to those people who depended on it in a safe way, and that we were utilizing telehealth as much as possible.
TLC stands for Transitional Living Community, and we are a transition community that serves women who are homeless and also have a diagnosed mental illness.
I'm a vocational and educational specialist at TLC. My role is to help clients with education and employment, SSI, SSDI, but also making sure there are ways to engage and learn every day in the shelter so that clients aren't just sitting here statically, not working on their life, not creating goals.
We do a lot of group and recreational activities. Now we only allow 8 to 10 women in the group at a time. We've had educational groups about COVID, how to protect yourselves, a lot of teaching them how to wear masks properly. COVID-19 has changed, in my mind, it has changed the entire way that we're going to deliver services to our clients moving forward. Our main priority, to place them in permanent housing, that they're going to continue to have virtual interviews and virtual housing viewings. No longer can a client just walk in the office and sit down. Now it has to be a process. Like, we have to disinfect the area because the other client, we have the plexiglass, do the client have on the mask? So we have to think about protection before social services.
We sanitize the entrances, the doors, the table, the open area where they sit at, and the offices, because mainly they're in the doctor's office or the nurse's office. Those offices we maintain complete sanitation after every visit.
And many of our participants were saying, hey, I don't have antibacterial, I don't have a face mask, I don't have gloves. And when you ask what they need, they're telling you that those are the same things that they need. Our program has really worked with central services to make sure that we do have adequate masks and antibacterial on site.
BCS has been so amazing. They were able to get me everything that I need to continue to protect the staff and the clients.
Organizations such as BCS are quite essential to those of us that are on the front lines during this COVID crisis, because they've been able to provide essential resources for us to be able to get funding.
We have been working with Brownsville Culinary Community Center and the Collective Fare Catering Group to obtain funding to distribute meals to elderly residents right there in the Brownsville area. They had an on-site kitchen and they had people who knew how to cook and who knew how to prepare really high quality, nutritious meals. And so we were able to partner together to get funding to be able to get those meals to really vulnerable groups that we were working with.
We knew that access to food was going to be something that was going to hit home. So we wanted to create a model that was going to be able to sustain people during this time, starting with the seniors, then moving on to people that were in family shelters and those that are in need, people that were immunocompromised, people that have illnesses. We're working along with BCS to provide 2,000 meals a day, which is 8,000 meals a week, and 1,000 grocery bags a week to people that are dealing with food insecurity and our essential workers.
It is hard for folks to stay locked up in their houses. And so, they are joyful when we bring this food to them.
Being able to come into the office on Fridays to manage the clinic, it's so nice to see someone who comes and say, I've missed you, I can't wait to come back. It's so good to be here. It reminds me a little bit of how meaningful we are in the lives of the people that we serve.
I was speaking to a parent just yesterday, and she was really moved on how consistent we were with calling her and just checking in, seeing if she needed anything, and telling me how much her child is engaging and enjoying our virtual experiences that we provide for them. And just to have that little small talk, it gives her hope that this too shall pass, and we will be there helping our community get back on top.
Unfortunately, this thing has us all apart, but if we work apart, we'll stand together.
How do I feel about being an essential worker? I love it. How can I work remotely when I have clients that need us? We're in this together. Who would be here for them? They see me come to work every morning with my mask, telling them to put their mask on, but nevertheless, we're here. Like I told them, we're here for you.
I'm terrified every day. I'm terrified leaving my apartment. But as I said, what keeps me going is knowing that I'm in a position where I can serve my community. It gives me the strength to keep fighting.
In the beginning, it was very scary, but as you thinking of yourself as an essential worker, you have to realize you have to put your fear behind and begin to know that you're doing something to help yourself along with others.
I have people that live as far as the Bronx that come all the way to Brownsville and work along with us to produce these foods for the people. We have a great many people and staff that were very scared, but they trusted in us and they believed in us, and they are continuing to work along with us during these times.
The challenges that this population will face after COVID, I don't have an answer for that one. There's nothing to reference to. There's no data. We're living and making history at the same time. There is no answer. The answer is we have to create every day.
I'm not going to lie. I really do miss the open bar and multi-course meal of the gala, part and parcel of celebrating the transformative work of BCS. But the flip side of this virtual arrangement is important for me to emphasize clearly. Your donations tonight go directly to BCS programs. What we've lost in razzle dazzle, we've gained in efficient and effective philanthropy. A donation right now of $1,000 directly supports that homeless shelter for women that you just heard about, the Transitional Living Community in East New York. There are 30 women there right this second who are benefiting directly from your $1,000 donation. Our first honoree has been committed to the safety and well-being of these women for decades. Lorraine DiPaolo is a true humanitarian. Indeed, after her first visit to the same transitional living community that your $1,000 donations are now aiding, Lorraine bought and had delivered a washer-dryer unit in order to help these women do just that, transition to the next phase in their lives.
My name is Lorraine DiPaolo, and I live in Brooklyn. Moved in 1969, and we've been here 50 years, and we love it. We love it. When someone, not that it happens that often, it doesn't, but when someone wants to give us an award, and an award for what? I mean, we do what we love. I cannot tell you how much it means to me. Before my husband passed away, I said, "Oh, Gordon, I'm not going to do this," and he said, "Oh no, you have to do it. It's really important that you show your appreciation for what BCS does." So this award really is not for me, it's for him. He raised money for the school, a huge amount over the years, and I'll continue to do that for Prospect Park, for Brooklyn Community Services, top on our list. Fortunately, both of us were on the same page about giving. We work to give. We work to give. We don't work to buy things. We don't work to live anywhere, to buy another house, to do anything. We work to give. I have to say, during this time, we don't need a gala. We don't need to dress up, and we don't need to have a band and have food and drinks and everything else. People go because it's a party. But I really urge everyone not to neglect BCS. We need not just that, not just what you would normally give, but we need even more. It's very, very difficult feeding these children, taking in the homeless. It is beyond. There's no gala, but there's a gala in our heart to give.
$1,000 support the shelter. If that's not what your speed is, make a $500 donation. Make a $500 donation. And I'm going to jump back on the script here. Why not? Because I believe it's important to drill down and identify exactly the impact that you, by sticking with us, by not abandoning us, are making. Earlier this spring, BCS engaged directly with a single mother who is not only a cancer survivor, but who had also recently become sick with COVID-19. She was quarantining with her teenage daughter in East New York, and for 2 harrowing weeks, BCS was their support system. We provided food delivery, literally ordering seamless to their home. And once the mother's health improved, we were able to follow up with ensuring a regular supply of groceries. Real stories like these remind us of the human lives our community works tirelessly to improve. We are focused on that and not on the virtual galas. And so here, this is a point. This is a point where I just have to thank those who have really stepped up. Our sponsors, Irene Van Slyke, Alan Gallo, PVH Corporation, Con Ed, Lorraine DiPaolo, David O'Connell, Dina Veranis, Jerome Ferris, Constance Christensen, Aaron and Deborah Dean, and Peter Cahill. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey everyone, this is Jacqueline Woodson, and I am very honored to accept this award from BCS, and I'm very excited about the work you guys are doing, about the ways that you are changing the world, and that world is getting changed right here in Brooklyn. The thing I love about Brooklyn is that you can write about it forever because it's ever changing. And so I can write about Bushwick in 1990 and it'll be a completely different narrative if I wrote about it in 2020. Having grown up here, it feels like, even though I've traveled, it feels like the world to me. It feels like the truth to me. And so it's a daily inspiration. I mean, even riding my bike from Park Slope back to my old neighborhood in Bushwick, there's a whole novel there in who I am and how the neighborhoods have changed and who the people are in them. You know, the fact is I write for the very young. I write picture books in middle grade and young adult and adult narratives. And always, for me, the foundation of those books is what I know because of Brooklyn and what I've experienced because of Brooklyn. So even if a book takes place in Ohio, it's still it is inspired by Brooklyn and are being written in Brooklyn. I really appreciate the work you're doing, and I think it's so important that we as a society, we as a community understand that there's not just one Brooklyn. There's not just the privileged and exciting and new and possible Brooklyn that we live in, that there is also a Brooklyn that is a part of our community that needs to be supported. So happy to be a part of this, happy to be a part of the change that is much needed, and very grateful for you in the world. Thank you.
Jacqueline, I'm still working on that first draft of my book, but despite being out of work these last 3 months, I still haven't made much progress. Maybe that's a sign it's not meant to be, but that just means I can focus all of my energy on fundraising. We're going to now take it down to the $250 level. Because $250, BCS can make a bulk purchase of 200 additional KN95 masks for our frontline workers. Here's the thing. These masks don't last that long. Doctors and nurses in hospitals have resorted to wearing them until they are visibly soiled. That's true. And that usually happens in less than a week. It is critical that we provide our staff with these pieces of personal protective equipment. And just consider that for a nonprofit like BCS, this is a new additional cost, one of many when doing business in the era of COVID-19.
Hello, BCS. I'm New York City Council member Brad Lander. I'm so deeply honored by this award. BCS is really one of my favorite Brooklyn organizations. Extraordinary work you do, but in the non-COVID times with young people and now especially more than ever with folks who need mental health counseling and all your programs. So it's an honor to be your ally. I'm a City Council member representing a big chunk of Brooklyn and proud to be a longtime partner. One of the projects that I am really honored to be working with BCS on is a shower bus that will be available for homeless Brooklynites. It'll go out to places where folks who are sleeping on the street might congregate. They have no place right now to go to take a shower and to wash and get clean. And obviously that's always important for people's dignity. But right now during the COVID crisis, when like the main thing we're supposed to do is wash our hands and watch our hygiene, homeless folks don't have the ability to do that. And the fact that this bus, in addition to bringing dignity, will bring an opportunity for people to have good hygiene amidst a pandemic. The fact that it's just coming on right now at a moment when the need for it is clearer than ever. You know, this is a dark, dark, dark set of clouds, this crisis, but there are little bits of silver linings, and this is one of them. Wow, to me, it's a no-brainer to support Brooklyn Community Services, and I hope others know that as well. No matter who you are, you have a fair set of opportunities to be there for people with intellectual disabilities, who have mental health needs, who are those folks out on the street that the shower bus is for. BCS shows up for all Brooklynites, and that is more important now than ever.
One of the things I wanted to say about Brad Lander, and this is this is a shout out to him. His 39th district, it doesn't represent the areas that BCS focuses on, but he cares so much about the well-being of all Brooklyn residents. And Brad, shout out to you on that. And so last year we had come together to raise money for that shower bus. And it's kind of incredible to think that somehow good hygiene is even more important now. Like, it wasn't important before. Now we have to wash our hands an additional 25 seconds. It really boggles the mind, but we must double down on these efforts. A donation right now of $100 helps us ensure that our 30 facilities borough-wide, 30 facilities, are properly stocked with towels, soap, and other necessities every single day. And I am so appreciative because you can see the totalizer. We have continued to raise money. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
BCS needs your help. In this time of uncertainty, the growing numbers of people who are unemployed and have food insecurity is magnified tremendously. We serve that population and enable them to get back on their feet. We can't do it without you. You know, a little goes a long way. At BCS, we have the infrastructure to provide services, and you have the resources to ensure that those services are provided well. BCS, community, is our middle name. Join us. Be the member of the community that you are, and help us as we grow together in recovery from this crisis.
We will put that money to work immediately. Immediately. It's not going to the pomp and circumstance of the regular gala. I love the galas. I made my business from the galas. Now I'm donating my time standing in this office doing this. And to all of you who have stayed with me this long, we've raised an additional $8,000. Thank you. Thank you. We need to hit that $10,000 mark. And if you can dig deep now, if you can make that donation, that $100 donation, that $500 donation, if you can make a $2,000 donation to get us to that level. We lost a $50 donation. Nonprofits are hurting so bad because they had in their fiscal year these galas. And last year, if you were there, you know how magical that was. We came together and raised almost $100,000 in 7 minutes. We did that. And tonight, we're almost at $178,000. Think about that. Think about that work. We've crossed the $178,000 mark. And every single one of those $178,000 is helping your neighbors. Things don't always go as planned. You know it in the live business, whether it's I just got a note. Constance Christensen. Thank you. Thank you. Constance Christensen, thank you. You just threw me a lifeline. That was a $10,000 donation that has gotten us to $190,000. $100,000 raised. Thank you. When I walked over to the office, it was my first time riding the subway since mid-March. I live in North Brooklyn, and it was a surreal experience being back on something that had been everyday part of my life for 15 years. And I got off at Hoyt, and I walked over, and as I was turning onto Lawrence, you could see in the distance a wall of people. And those are people that care about their fellow citizens in Brooklyn. Those are the protesters that we've as a city embraced and celebrated and supported. It was 2 weeks ago today that George Floyd was murdered by a police officer. Excuse me. It was 2 weeks ago today that George Floyd was murdered by a police officer in Minneapolis. The world has changed so much since then. We believe that the protests inspired by his death are now helping to bend that long and troubled arc of American history more swiftly and completely toward justice. In Mr. Floyd's honor, we are ending tonight's virtual event with more than just a moment of silence. You've stuck with us this far. Please stay with us now as we take a full 8 minutes and 46 seconds for reflection. It's hard. And thank you to those who have stayed with us tonight. We will get through this together. That's what BCS does. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for being part of this family.